Okay, so we can get started. For those who just joined, we are recording this session. So if you miss anything or want to redo this again, you can go back and we'll send out the recording after today's program. Today, we are very excited to be joined by Graig Inaba. And Graig Inaba was born and raised in Sacramento and was an apprentice under Master Chef Masa Nishiyama, the executive chef at the Hyatt in Sacramento, since before he can remember. At 15, Graig helped his friend open a Japanese restaurant, Cafe Nico, now Miyagi, and was the night shift sushi chef after school, of course. At 17, Masa retired from the Hyatt and opened his own Japanese restaurant, Zen Toro, in downtown Sacramento. And Graig moved from Cafe Nico to help Masa as the night shift sushi chef until he moved to San Diego for college. On various weekends during his tenure at both places, he taught sushi classes to any and all customers who were interested. He has also catered several events. Post-Sacramento, he moved away from the culinary arts and graduated from UC San Diego with a biochem major, and he is now the informatics pharmacy tech for the city of San Francisco, based at ZSFG, but also services Laguna Honda Hospital and Jail Health Downtown in San Bruno. He still scratches his culinary itch by catering various Japanese American events in San Francisco, as well as by teaching sushi classes at the JCCCNC and the San Francisco Buddhist Church. And bonus info, he has also started a sake and wine online retail store for those interested. And pre-COVID, he would cater pairing tastings and was also doing that virtually. So I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat. And if you are a sake fan or even wine and rosé fan, please make sure to visit Kenshin Sake. And I'm going to spotlight Graig right now. Reverend Candace, do you want to say anything before, just as a representative of Stockton Buddhist Church? We're very excited to have this event as part of our New Year's celebrations, but obviously this is a little bit past New Year's, so we wanted to make sure we could get Graig on here.
Sure. I apologize. My connection's a little unstable, but I just wanted to thank everybody for your support again, as this is a fundraiser, a continuation of our New Year's Eve fundraiser, but also it's an opportunity for us to be able to get together in a social way, because I know a lot of people have been missing this social aspect of being at the temple and having activities and even being out in the community. So I have to really commend and thank the Doi sisters as well for all of their hard work and efforts in this wonderful project. And of course, this is motivated by, of course, their grandparents and their parents and their involvement. And so thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Graig, for taking time out of your very busy schedule. And I think it sounds like there might be a wonderful opportunity to have even more social gatherings if we want to do another class regarding sake tasting and food pairing. So that could definitely be something that I would be down for. So put us in your book, and hopefully we can get that as another event, because we never really have the opportunity to have somebody specialize probably in these fields of sushi and food and sake and wine. And so it would be probably another nice opportunity for us to get together. But thanks everybody for your support and your continued support of our projects and this vision for us to still be together during this time. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Reverend Candace. And I guess we should maybe do some housekeeping as well. So if you have any questions, if things are going a little too fast, feel free to chat or speak up. I'll be monitoring the chat tonight and just facilitating. If you can't see anything, please let us know and we'll make sure to troubleshoot. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Graig and we'll get started.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. And this is honestly my first time I'm doing this virtually. Usually we have like a nice little group sitting in like a multi-purpose room or a giant kitchen, and everyone actually participates in doing this. So this is my first virtual one. So hope everything goes well. Like Steph says, if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to either speak up or stick it in the chat, and then Steph will kind of slow me down and ask the question, and I could do my best to answer it. Yeah. So thank you again for that wonderful introduction. That's pretty much everything that is about me. And I guess we could kind of get started. Like in the introduction, I was an apprentice under Chef Masa Nishiyama, who is the executive chef at the Hyatt in Sacramento. Sushi was always interest in me and my family. I've always kind of wanted to do sushi and become a sushi chef one day. And it was like a perfect opportunity. So he basically just kind of said, "Oh, Graigy, come on over. I show you how to do." I said, "Oh, awesome. Okay." So he would teach me all these things. Even like the background and stuff was extremely interesting to me. Sushi is actually it began as a very practical system. Back in the day, before refrigerators and everything, there's almost no way to preserve food. So when you catch like a giant fish, like a tuna or something, right? You can't eat 150 pounds in a day, even with like your family and everything, right? So you have to find some way to preserve these things. And so that's how sushi was invented. It was a way to quote unquote pickle fish. And what they did was they would cut the fish into small bite-sized pieces and then pour the vinegar over it. And that's how the fish would stay good for the next like few days until they could obviously go get more. And so it's evolved to the point where now instead of pouring the vinegar over the fish, we flavor the rice with the vinegar. And so vinegar actually is kind of a flavor killer. So vinegar plus fish isn't really good. And so it's evolved to where we actually flavor the vinegar to make it a flavor enhancer. And we'll kind of go through all those steps. So we can go and get started on that. So normally people kind of just mix everything in a bowl or a pot like this. I like to be on the very lowest heat it could be on. So I don't know if you can see that. It's very, very low. And that's because you definitely do not want to boil this. When vinegar fumes come up, it just kind of burns the nose hairs, right? So this is just basic rice vinegar. I'm sorry, I don't have very many recipes because that's honestly the way I was not taught. So I will kind of teach you what to look for or what to taste. This is just any kind of Musikan rice vinegar. I think it's backwards, but you guys have all seen the Japanese grocery store like Nijiya. They actually carry that safely as well. And so first ingredient is actually sugar to sweeten it out. So proportions are actually pretty simple. It's about 2 to 1. So 1 cup of vinegar would require about a half a cup of sugar. It's a little bit less than a cup, so I'm putting a little bit, obviously less than a half a cup of sugar.
Greg, we've got a quick question here.
Oh,
Sure.
Sydney just wants to know, do you put the vinegar in a pot on heat, or is it okay to mix it in a bowl? Does it need to be over heat?
It does not need to be over heat. The only reason why I do it is because heat helps dissolve.
Got it.
And with as much stuff as you're putting in here, sometimes it could take forever for your last few ingredients to dissolve.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so what I would normally do right now is I would actually pour some of this into like a little cup. I would have like an assistant or two kind of go around with little toothpicks, and you would actually be able to taste this. And so if you're doing this at home, once you dissolve your sugar, you should actually taste it. And what you would taste is sweetness first, and then all of a sudden like the vinegar, the puckerness of the vinegar. So it's two separate: sweet, nothing, then vinegar pucker. Any kind of sugar works. This is just raw sugar. My wife really likes raw sugar, so that's what we have. Next ingredient is mirin, or some kind of cooking sake. And this, you don't need much. I normally just do like a little capful per cup. Get that in there. So what the mirin does is how we had initially we just had the sweetness and then vinegar. This fuses the two, so it makes it kind of one elongated flavor, but you'll still taste sweetness and then puckered. But it's just kind of like a little bit more elongated, a little bit more continuous. So for those of you doing it at home, go and taste that, and you can kind of like see the slight differences. And once it's really good, you add maybe about a teaspoon of salt per cup of vinegar. And what the salt does is basically enhance the overall flavor, as well as kill that pucker at the end, kills that aftertaste. So it cleans it up basically. I don't know how well you can see this, but all the ingredients dissolve pretty fast under extremely low heat. And same thing, normally I would pour a little bit of each stage into a little cup and have everybody taste it, and there's a huge noticeable difference. Actually, that's perfect. And this is my master's secret to make things more addictive and really, really good. A little bit of hondashi soup base. Not much, just a little pinch. And since sushi is going to go on seafood and fish, this gives it a nice little stronger fish taste. Hondashi is basically just fish soup base, and dissolving that into a vinegar kind of helps complement and fuse the fish that you're going to put onto the rice with the vinegar. And there is a difference. Okay, for those of you that are doing this at home, I don't know if you have rice ready, but I have some rice here that we just cut before we started. Nice and hot. Turn everything off. So normally I would do this in a hangiri, which is basically a giant wooden bowl. You don't have to use wooden bowls. You could use plastic or metal. Me personally, I don't like to use metal because metal plus vinegar, acid of vinegar, kind of like gives me that metallic aftertaste that I really don't like. So I normally just use plastic, and just be careful because the thinner the bowl is, plus the heat of the rice transfers really quick, and I don't want you to burn your hands. So I have just a regular ceramic bowl here. And so for every 1 cup of rice, you would pour maybe about a 1/4 cup of mixed vinegar. So 4 to 1. And you can't, I don't think I could see it, but there's steam coming out. And what that is basically just water vapor. So as the water vapor goes out, the vinegar goes into the rice. So I don't know how detailed this is, but the ideal kind of rice would be that's nice and soft. And so in order to not break up the rice, you use your shamoji, your rice mixer. You just kind of scoop, flip, and then go to the very end, down, and chop and pull, chop and pull. And this helps to make sure that you don't break any of the grains. Mochi is for a different kind of meal, right? And so a lot of people fan it, which is good as well. That helps get rid of the water vapor so that the flavor of the vinegar could go into the rice. And I will let this cool. And sorry, I have my cheater rice that we will use just to keep things going forward. Okay, I'm gonna move the camera here, so bear with me. Can everybody see the cutting board and salt?
Yes.
Looks
good.
great.
Yeah, good. So I always like to keep just a little bowl of finger water. So now there's COVID, I'm sure like most of the sushi restaurants will have to glove up. I personally don't like gloves, and if this was live, I would definitely wear gloves. But I just like using my normal hands just because that's how I've been taught, and gloves kind of like don't really mess me up, but it doesn't feel as natural. I also like to have a damp towel, and that's just for cleanliness, of course, and to wipe my knife with afterwards. And get rid of these things. And our makisu, which is just the roller. It's a bamboo mat tied together, and this is what helps to shape and roll our sushi. Okay, so I'm going to go over four different kinds of sushi. The first is the most simplistic one, which is the nigiri. Well, actually, I shouldn't assume, right? But onigiri just basically means rice ball. And that style is basically just the fish over rice. Something that I get a lot too is there a class to cut fish? I can. It's just extremely hard to get the supplies for it. But this one I just got at Nijiya. You can find this at any Nijiya or Mitsuwa or any Japanese grocery store. And so another common question I get is, are there differences in knives? The quick answer is yes. The more detailed and useful answer is yes, and there's multiple kinds. The kind that you will see at the sushi chefs use. I got this one from the knife maker actually in Tokyo. Oh geez, what's up? I'm not thinking of that market in Tokyo, famous fish market. I'll think of it later. But so most of them kind of look like this. Let's see, I don't know if I could kind of show this here. Maybe on the white background. But one side is completely flat. This side is angled down. So I guess on a magnified view, it would look like one side flat and the other side angled. And that is because when you're cutting the fish, the flat part stays flat and the angled part pushes the meat out. And you go against the grain. And you go against the grain so that if when you bite into it, it just crumbles apart. If you go with the grain and they bite it, they get these little white muscular parts, tsuji, and that kind of gets stuck in people's teeth and the meat doesn't break apart. It's flat on one side, like this. It's perfectly okay to use a regular chef knife as well. The difference is there's no flat part, and they both kind of go to an angle, kind of like that. So you don't have this flat part after you're cut. And so obviously, right? Knives cut things, right? But over time, over a few cuts, you can't really see it. And this is where unfortunately the live part isn't as it starts to become concave. And so if I have a long block, which most restaurants do, probably towards almost the middle, you'll see like a giant concave block that just gets harder and harder to cut. So that's a nice little factoid here. And so I'm actually left-handed. And so that makes knife buying extremely difficult because I like to do this way. And so the flat part's on the wrong side. So I would add to be taught to cut this way. Save these guys for later. Okay, for rice, I always like to wet my hands. You see that? And just make sure everything's wet, especially in between. If you have any hand jewelry, rings, or anything, I normally take it off just because things get stuck in there, right? So you don't want it too wet, otherwise rice kind of crumbles and dissolves. Dry because then rice will stick to your hands. So the best thing to do is after you get your wetness, just kind of wipe all the excess water off with the towel. Amount of rice wise, It's however much you could make with this and no rice showing. And all you do is kind of squeeze and turn, squeeze and turn, squeeze and turn. You don't want to squeeze too hard, because if you squeeze too hard, when the customer bites, it doesn't dissolve in your mouth. Just kind of squeeze. Also, if you squeeze too hard, you also break the grains. So the experience that you would want to give your diner is the moment they bite it, it's a clean cut, and with the next, when they chew on the back part of their teeth, it dissolves. So that's how you could see if your sushi chef is good or not, right? If they're niggiris. So some people like to do wasabi kind of on the back end, or on the in between the fish and the nigiri. I found as a sushi chef that half of them like it, half of them don't. So normally I just don't. The reason why they had it was because, if you remember, the whole purpose of sushi was to preserve fish. That sterilized, that little strip of wasabi in between sterilized the fish from this side. They sterilize it from this side as well as the top when they pour the vinegar over. Fun little factoid. So let's see this. I'm left-handed, so this might be a little bit, oh, actually, I think everything in the camera is flipped, so this might look correct. But I keep it in my left hand, or my good hand, and shape with my right. So it's basically scoot to the side, squeeze, and slight press. Side with your thumb and forefinger, middle finger, slight press. Same thing with this one. And my master used to say, think of it like they should look like two little fishies swimming in a stream. So if yours look like two little fishies swimming in a stream, good job. If not, no worries. Couple practice rounds and you guys will be fine, right? Put these aside for later. Now the second one that's pretty simplistic is called the hosomaki style. And that's with a roll with your nori on the outside. And usually there's only one ingredient unless you have a green onion mix or something. Only because it's a very a lot of people, the other question I get too is, what kind of nori is quote unquote best? The answer is they're all good, but no one wants to hear that, right? So if you can see, like, a lot of them are actually color coordinated, either by the rims or by the color of their of either nori or their brand. And usually, like, the nicer the metal, the nicer the nori. And so what makes a nice nori is it dissolves in your mouth, but still pliable when you do it. So to me, I like silver the best. I could work with gold, but a lot of times at restaurants, when people are like talking, the last piece will like dissolve and fall apart. And then, I look like the guy who doesn't know what he's doing, right? So I like to use silver the best. Any other colors like blue or purple that are out there that I've seen, they're a little bit thicker and a little bit more bonded together. So it's very chewy actually, and you will never really, once you bite into it, you're chewing on nori, and you kind of don't want, nori should be complementary and not overpowering and taking over what's going on there. The other question I get, so we're going to use a half sheets for these. The other question I get is, I don't know if you can see this piece in there, but you can see like lines. And those lines aren't really, a lot of people say, oh, those are the cut lines or what have you. But nori is basically made on something like your makisu. So these lines just correspond to like wherever these was. So it doesn't really make too much of a difference which way you do it. But I have found that it is and horizontal, right?
Great.
So
I think you cut out a little
I like to go.
bit. Could you?
Oh, sorry.
You cut out just a little bit. Could you go back just a little bit to when you were talking about
Sure.
the lines? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So these lines are actually just the bedding of where the nori was resting. So those lines are actually, nori is put in high concentrations with water and then rested on a mat like this. So the lines actually just correspond to whatever twine that they had at the time. So it actually doesn't really mean much. But I do notice that it's longer when the lines are horizontal, but a little bit slightly shorter when it's kind of like the cut nori going with the lines. I'm sorry, this is older nori, so it's not as crispy as before. Some people like to stick it in the freezer. That kind of works. But if you take it too long, time is undefeated, right? So they break pretty easily. So you want it as close as possible. There's actually two different sides. One shimmery and smooth. The other side is rough. And again, that's only because of what side it rested on when it was being made. It rested on its bed when it was being made. But practical-wise, rougher sides seem to hold things better, right? Just because of surface area. So we put rice on the rough side. So for hosomaki, take about a little snowball full. The amount you would want to see is about 1 grain layer thick to cover about 3/4 of the sheet. I like to do all the way at the end and leave about 1/4 kind of naked. Some people like to do like naked here, a little bit naked here, and then just rice in the middle. But it's harder to roll. A little bit more here. And so the main thing when you're spreading rice is you don't want to like push down. It kind of looks like I was pushing down, but it's more like your fingers are rakes and you're kind of like moving the grains. And that way the grains stay whole. And you can put whatever, most people like cucumbers, right? And so we're just gonna make a little kapamaki here. I cut this cucumber earlier this morning. It's just julienne style, just in little strips. Put it to the very end. Using my fingers, I just kind of hold things in place. Using my thumb, I kind of pull up. fold everything over. And then here, where the naked part is, I kind of like run my finger with water a little bit, and that water just kind of helps the nori to bond. Nice little squeeze. Finish it off in a roll. Cutting wise, when you're cutting rolls, it doesn't matter. Whichever knife is the sharpest, I would say. Because you don't really care about concavity or anything. So what I like to do is, I like to cut half. That just makes it a little bit easier to kind of like measure and see. But I also like to do, so rice sticks to knives, right? I don't know if you can see. Keeping the knife clean makes it a little bit easier to cut. So these I kind of like to be a little bit artistic in, kind of like cut into thirds at a little angle. And you have a nice little cup of maki roll.
Great, these look so wonderful. Just a
Thank you.
question to the group: how is everyone doing? Are they looking like that? Great. It looks just incredible. I don't know if everyone else is looking as perfect, but if we want, we could do a little picture of these two rolls, and everyone can kind of get caught up if they're not. I'm going to just remove the spotlight, and if you want to show your rolls, please feel free. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to. And I think we could do a screenshot right now too, just to see everyone's rolls and where we're at. How's everybody
doing so far? Give me enough time to grab some ingredients here.
Put too much rice in and it wouldn't close.
Oh no!
No. It takes a little practice. Once you get the hang of it, it really is riding a bike. Once you get it once, that's it.
Wow, I'm seeing Sydney's right now. That looks so good. Wow, Megan, great job. Ooh, look at those, Sydney. Those look really good. She's pointing to her grandma. Anyone else want to show off their roll? Debbie, those are great. If everyone wants to hold them up for the camera, we can do a little picture right now. Nicole, those look really good.
Good job, everybody.
Do a picture if folks want. Are people ready though?
I was gonna say I'd never seen it cut in the diagonal, so that was really cool technique. Thanks for showing us that, Graig.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm gonna take a little picture right now. If everyone wants to show their screen. Cute. Okay, I got a screenshot. Oh wow, Chris, you have a whole display. Nice. Really cute. Right. All right. Is everyone ready to go on to the next type of sushi roll? Are we all good? Want to make sure people are caught up and ready to go. All right, Graig, I think we're ready. Are you ready as well?
Ready. I am ready.
Okay, great.
Okay. We'll learn today is temaki, which is hand for te, maki, roll. So you want about a little bit less than the hofamaki. So you want to cover about half of your nori here. So that's maybe about that much, just enough to cover to be in your hand, but not to cover it with your fist. And this one, you just want to cover just the side of it. And this is actually the one that I do the most, just because it's quick, easy, and when I have like leftovers, it's actually really good. I use the leftovers for the middle sometimes, and then I have like a nice little makeshift temaki. But today I just mixed in some crab with shrimp. That seems to be extremely popular. And you want to like make a line that goes diagonal in your rice. So it should look something like that. And since everything's like white, it doesn't really show up, so I'll stick some gum there. Yeah. And what you're going to do now is inside your hand, you're going to have this in your hand, and you're going to fold it from this corner to this corner. So kind of like a diagonal taco. And what's in your hand, corner to corner. And then with the rest of the nori, just follows. And you have a little temaki handle.
Greg, you make it look too easy.
Yeah, it is. That one is a little tricky.
I can see faces laughing.
It is a little. But once you get it, it's like you once you get it, you do it blindfold, and I make it and I watch TV and I eat. And back when I used to live with roommates and everything, oh, those used to be the fun nights, right? Okay, so the last one that we're gonna do today is one that we see all over the place, which is kind of like the American style California roll with the rice on the outside. So everything's basically, all the basics are the same. This time, you want to cover the whole sheet with about like maybe 1.5 grains thickness. Anything bigger, and it'll be hard to roll. It'll be a little difficult to roll. Anything less, and the nori kind of like splits. And also kind of looks cheap, but if it's just for you, sure. So it's about twice as much as last time, of course. So I like to say, you know, a full snowball. Spread around. Well, people like to do sesame seeds on top, and that just kind of like makes it look a little bit nicer. Should open this beforehand, but flavor. So what I do is I use Doraemon furikake. And just kind of sprinkle it on top, makes it kind of look a little nice. Even though for the most part you won't really see it, but this actually adds a lot of flavor too. myself a little room here. Flip it over here. I'm going to use the same ingredients. And this one, you want to stick it pretty much in the middle. Cucumbers in here. And this is kind of the same concepts, but it's a little bit more tuck. So you want to fold the bottom over, tuck it with your fingers, and then finish it off with a roll. So fold, tuck, and finish it off with a roll.
Wow, so Graig, with this, you don't stick on the wooden mat. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
With this one, you don't need to use the wooden mat?
Actually, don't recommend using the mat, only because, let's see what I do with my mat. There it is. Rice gets inside. You could soak it, or you could put like plastic wrap over it. But to me, honestly, you don't get that tuck. And that tuck is what keeps everything inside. So, you know, you can use it if it works for you. But, you know, again, to me, it's a little bit easier without it. And let's make this a little bit prettier, right? We'll put some tuna on there. And kind of the difficult part about these rolls is actually the cutting. A lot of times when you cut it, things fall apart. So number one, sharp knife, right? Sharp knife equals easy cut. Another trick that is saran wrap, plastic wrap. I get mine at Costco, and you get a huge roll, and it lasts for like 10 years. And so actually, this is where I use the mat, kind of like seal the plastic wrap on it, and also to shape it. That stays clean. So working at a restaurant, these would get us in a lot of trouble with a QFC and inspection, because they look for anything that could like possibly grow that you don't want growing, mold, fungus, and stuff, right? And so that's the big one. So they always check that. So whenever we see them, we always just get new ones. Same thing. Get like a little water on here so there's no slippage. I like to do half, 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 half. 8 pieces. Peel that off. And then to display, something that's really easy is to kind of like put them together and then spread them out a little bit. And that's really easy to just kind of like pick them all up at once and place them on your plate. And that's what I will do here. And of course, different restaurants have their own way of kind of dressing things up, making things look nice. I like to do it too. I always make a bunch of different kind of sauces that I have. So here's our finished plate. I have like a little ginger sesame that's actually really good on salad as well. A little bit of chili garlic. Everybody likes something that's really easy, that's very similar. It's just a Kewpie mayo and sriracha mix. And of course, grandma's teriyaki sauce, right? Further dress it up with a little bit of tobiko. And just to make it give it a little bit more flavor and a little bit more eye appealing, green onion. As like we have here. So it's good to have a little shoga ginger, right? So you could basically get the first taste for the first time every time. People that, look, actually, a question that I really get is, what's actually the purpose of shoga? Some people, I've seen people like eat the sushi with the shoga. And that's kind of not what it's for. To kind of make it like a little flower here. Shoga is a palate cleanser. So after you eat your sushi, after you eat one piece of your sushi, if you eat a piece of shoga in between your different ones here, you get a clean palate and you'll taste it cleanly for the first time. And there's no mix of flavors whatsoever. Get a little wasabi here. It kind of looks like a little leaf. And you can impress your friends now.
Amazing, Graig. A screenshot of that. How is everyone else doing? Also, I'm definitely guilty of eating the ginger with the sushi. I'm so embarrassed now.
No worries. Like, you know what? At least 4. It's funny.
Your audio cut out a little bit, but I heard at least.
Yeah, at least like 4 people out of 20 would say that in my class of 20.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
You're not alone.
I'm not alone. I also just really like shoga, so
right?
I'll eat it plain and with the sushi and yeah, with everything. How is everyone doing? We can do a community view so that we can see where everyone is. Are people plated up? Are we ready? Seeing Megan? Wow, look at that.
Ooh.
Spotlight Megan's for a little. Those are good, Megan. Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Oh, I see Sydney. I'll pin Sydney. Anyone else want to share theirs?
Nick, you don't want to share yours? I see you laughing.
Venus, let's see yours. Oh, Sachi, wow.
My right was a little soft, so I
Ooh.
couldn't do inside out.
That's okay. Nicole has hers made. Those look really nice. Wow.
Ooh.
Everyone's looks so good.
Yeah, good job, everybody.
David. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, I see Debbie.
Oh.
That looks great, Debbie. Anyone else want to share? Susan says that hers are too sloppy to show on screen.
Mine were too,
Sure,
but you have to own it.
Amazing.
You have to own it.
Right?
And just show the good side.
Right. If everyone wants to show their sushi or their faces or anything else that you want to share, we can do a little picture right now too. Make sure that it's up for
I think with my leftover rice, I'm just going to resort back to my Japan days and eat some tuna mayo with my rice.
Ooh, yummy.
That's breakfast. The tuna mayo with sushi rice is great breakfast.
Oh, breakfast. Yeah, that sounds good too.
Right.
Okay, is everyone ready for pictures? Beautiful. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. Oh, a couple more people have shown theirs. Make sure to get those in there. These look amazing.
Yeah, good job, everybody. I'm liking it.
Oh, good. Maybe I could retire from the sushi booth. If somebody can take over.
This is actually a training session. Ruby can find a replacement. Right. If Graig, did you have anything else that you wanted to share, or any tips or tricks? Maybe people can ask questions as well.
Yeah, so remember, what goes really well with sushi is sake. You can find some great premium sake over at canteensake.us. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing that. And something that's kind of like not really mainstream yet, I say yet because we're kind of like experimenting with these, is a rosé. And we have like a real nice rosé from Dwayne Wade, if anyone likes basketball. He's an NBA all-star that just recently retired, and now he has a winery in Napa, and we carry his rosé. That goes really well with sushi.
Good plugs,
I
Graig.
linked.
Thank you.
I
That's good.
linked
Good
those
job. Good
in
job.
the chat. So
Yay.
Kenteen and Son by Dwayne Wade, which I think is really exciting. Yeah, so if everyone can see the chat, they're in there for you to view. And Graig, I think you can order, do you know, is it local only in terms of delivery?
So it's actually within California, and there's a few zip codes that we could do free delivery to. Or if you know you're going to be in the San Francisco area, you could do free pickup, and we could find a place to meet up, and it's free to pick up.
Awesome. I think most people here are zooming in from California and pretty locally as well. I think there's one outside of California.
Yeah,
In
sorry, I'm sorry, Seattle.
Maryland.
Yeah,
Hi
yeah.
there. Hi,
Unfortunately,
Megan. Yeah, one from Maryland. But I was wondering,
Oh.
so pre-pandemic, or even hopefully when things get better, is it an opportunity for us to come to the? Do you have a tasting room for us to visit?
well,
Or
since we're online, our legal housing area is just a warehouse, and I wouldn't take anybody in there. But we do host tastings. They're free of charge, and what we do is, if it's sake, we provide food that's not Japanese to kind of show that how versatile sake is, and that sake could be paired with different kinds of foods. Honestly, the best is our tamano hikari with Mexican food. We went to a real nice Mexican place, sat down and opened a bottle of our sake, and like I said, it was the best pairing I've ever had. We had our waiter and the hostess try it. They both loved it, and we've been trying to work out some kind of like thing with them where they would help spotlight us as well. So we're trying to do something a little bit different, and so we're also doing kind of reverse way of we're trying to find Japanese foods that go well with wine. So yes, when things kind of normalize, give us a call or throw us an email, and we could work something out.
oh, great! Because I was thinking, if it was something that we could go to, it might be a good field trip for us if members were interested in going on a field trip. But maybe it is something. If we could work out, if you wanted to come to Stockton and do something local in Stockton for our members too.
We could definitely do that. We've done a few of them in Sacramento already. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
Stockton,
Okay.
yeah, really easy.
Yay! That sounds good.
Hey, does anybody have any questions or anything? Yeah. Well, thank you all for having me. I had a lot of fun, and I like working with Buddhist Church of America and the local Buddhist churches as well. So anytime. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Graig, and thank
you.
you so much, everyone, for joining us today. This has just been so amazing and fun, and I hope everyone learned something new today, or maybe 4 things new today. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll be sure to, I was taking notes throughout the event, so I have some notes in terms of steps, and in case you don't want to rewatch everything, but we also will be sending out a recording of everything, and we took a few screenshots too. So I think also last time we had people send in photos of their food, and we featured some on our Instagram and Facebook page. So if you feel comfortable with that and want to take a couple of pictures of your food, please feel free. And then Megan, do you want to send that email in the chat for us? Perfect.
There.
So BC
Yeah, if you'd
of
love to.
Stockton.
Yes, if you want to share your photos with us, we would love to feature them.
I was going to mention that sometimes during the holidays or whatever, when we get together with the kids, we make make your own sushi. And instead of the half sheet of nori, we do it in a quarter. And then the kids love it because they just put the rice in and then put the long, skinny, stringy crab meat, the cucumber and the avocado, and then a little bit of wasabi. And then they just roll it up. They think, oh, this is pretty good. They just gobble it up, but individually. But that was great. I didn't know how to roll the temaki. Is that that style? I was trying to figure out how to roll it, but the cone shape, but it was very good. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right, if no one else has any questions or comments, we are done for today, and I will be getting you everything via email. But thank you so much to Graig for being with us today. Please check out his Kenshin Sake website. And thank you everyone for being in community with us for our masterclass series. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and enjoy your sushi.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Seeing you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.